So before I streamed this game, I actually went and did the beginning for this save and the other save before doing Diana's route and for this route for the other boys. And now here we are. After the grandfather died and after we first moved in here. Alright. Lying on the floor was a group of men. They were all unconscious, but there was no explanation as to why they were there in the first place. I dropped my bags as I let the door close on its own behind me. Huh? Who the heck are these guys? Why are they here? What's going on? Some of them had open wounds. The blood was staining the floor, and the scent was intermingling with the air. I couldn't help but feel bad for them instinctively, but nevertheless I was shocked and a bit angry at the sudden intrusion. My mind suddenly went from caring and concern to confused and demanding answers. Who are you guys? No response. I'll call the police. Still nothing. None of them seemed to be awake to answer or respond to me. It seemed surreal to have random strangers in the house I just moved into, but I wanted answers quickly. That was until Sam kissed her.
Woman, you're going to let me kiss you.
Uh-huh. I couldn't believe it myself, but within a mere blink of an eye, one of the men went from lying on the floor to being right in front of my face. What was even more odd was that the fact I felt serene and calm about it. Slowly a desire burned from my chest, telling me to accept this kiss even when my mind refused. Uh, go ahead.
Good.
As he kissed me, I could feel my body go weak. I didn't know why, but that kiss was draining me of my energy, and yet it was so good and made my heart sting. It was a strange and tingling feeling that danced over every nerve on my body. I could feel streams of intangible energy run up my body into my lips. It felt odd, but at the same time, it felt amazing.
Sam, stop it.
Hmm?
The person kissing me, Sam, was his name, glanced behind him.
I said stop. Now.
I love
Fine.
Sam. He's like my favorite. I love him. Finally, he pulled back and I was left standing there in a daze. Huh? I couldn't tell what was going on. My mind was completely enwrapped by the kiss and my thoughts that melted into the depths of my forgotten memories.
Please forgive my brother. He's a bit reckless.
No? Okay.
At least I feel a hell of a lot better than you right now.
Because you used your abilities on me. That's why.
Because you used your abilities on her.
Hang on. Hang on. Okay.
Sam, you're such a reckless brute.
Hi, Eric.
Taking advantage of a beautiful young woman like her.
Shut that pretty boy mouth of yours before I rip it off your pretty boy face.
Good grief. Sam.
Jeez, you guys.
Matthew.
Can we not fight right now? Not all of us are in the best state.
I guess you are right, Matthew.
I agree.
However, as the men got up and started to chat freely. My thoughts began to resemble, and I remembered my confusion and anger once again, only to now multiply tenfold. What?
Huh? Did you say something beautiful?
Oh God, I want to do James Robb. Oh my God, Eric. The way his voice sounds, I can't. Eric, no. I want to go through James's round, not yours. Oh God. And I exploded. What was going on? Why the hell are you all here at my house? Why are you all wounded? Why did you kiss me? Who are you guys? I couldn't help exploding, but after being taken advantage of and being left in a mush state, my words escaped without filter. I definitely scared the men around me, even the man who kissed me. Wait a second. The guy who kissed me.
Ouch! What's your problem?
Sorry, Sam. Love you. Oh God. What's your problem? You can't just go around forcing people to kiss you like that. Are you some kind of pervert?
Pervert! It was only a kiss!
It might mean nothing to you. Blah, blah, blah. It might mean nothing to you, but it means a lot to me.
What? Was it your first kiss?
Sam,
Ow! Hey! What was that for?
I know first kisses aren't exactly amazing and full of sparkles and something out of a fairy tale, but I had at least expected it to be more than just something forced.
So it was your first kiss. Stop making such a big deal out of it.
Sam, are you asking to get punched again?
Well, what do you want me to do? It's not like I can somehow take it back.
No kidding. No matter what, I'm gonna ask for an apology. You should at least apologize. That would suffice. As if to himself, he muttered something under his breath.
Why do I always look like the bad guy?
Oh, sweet baby.
Apologies aren't my forte, but I'll try my best. Okay, fine. I'm sorry.
Sorry about what?
I'm sorry for kissing you like that. I went too far.
He sighed and ran his fingers through his hair.
I didn't mean for it to turn out that way. It's just, I act on impulse, okay?
Okay.
It's difficult to control myself and... What am I saying?
No, Sam. It's okay. I get what you're trying to say. Thank you for the apology.
Yeah, no problem.
Anyway, if you try to pull any funny business in the future, just a fair warning, I know Taekwondo. I think I've bickered enough. Time to get back to the main issue. So, what exactly are you all doing in my house?
Miss, please forgive us in our intrusion. We didn't know this abode belonged to anyone, nor did we have the time to take that into consideration.
What do you mean? You don't just barge into people's homes.
We wouldn't have had to if we weren't as wounded as we are currently. We just escaped from a deadly fight that could have ended our lives. Luckily for us, your home was near and the windows were unlocked, so we quickly came inside.
The last time I remembered, there was law preventing strangers from stepping onto private property, although considering the severity of their wounds, it had to be serious. I guess that explains the rules, but not blood rules. Oh God, words. I guess that explains the wounds, but not why he kissed me. He had absolutely no right to do that.
Well, lovely flustered lady, it's hard to explain, truly. We're not exactly normal.
Okay. Not normal? What are you guys, demons or something? I asked almost jokingly, but the boys seemed to take my question differently. Yeah, they're incubi, like sex demons or something, yeah.
Well, yeah, actually, something like that.
We're incubi, miss.
Yeah.
Demons who consume and use sexual energy of humans to survive.
Okay. Incubi, the fabled demons that existed to taunt humans and make them sex-crazed monsters, the mythical beings that could look like anyone just to get into your pants. The imaginary monsters you only saw in the movies or on TV.
Hello? Did you hear him?
Yes, I did, Sam. Are you asking to get punched again?
We're telling the truth.
I know, Eric.
Do you think she's still processing it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she'll understand right about...
Alright, it was funny while it lasted, but it's time to cut the joke short. Incubuses don't exist. There was no way they existed. That would be practically impossible.
Incubi is the correct plural form. And yes, we do exist.
Prove it.
Very well.
Oh. As soon as the words left my mouth, I instantly regretted them.
Very well. Eric, go ahead.
Eric, no.
Very
No.
well.
No.
My sweet, you're so tempting with such non-belief. Let me ease your mind with a tender kiss. I promise you'll enjoy every minute of it, and maybe you'll even want more.
I feel like I'm dying on the inside. God, Eric, come on. I can't. Shout out to Krista Brescalante, who does the voice of Eric. Oh God, I can't with him. But once again, I was lost in the pool of calm and serenity, staring into Eric's eyes. I felt waves of hate course through my chest and into my face, painting my cheeks red in their wake. I couldn't help but nod and agree to his offer. Yeah, okay. Good God, Eric, no. I want to go through James's round, not yours. With another kiss, my heart began to flutter once again in my chest, and my mind was sent spinning in a heated, passion-filled pleasure, yet I could feel my body drained of energy as he kissed me.
All right, that's enough.
Okay.
Aw, very well. I feel so much better.
Oh my God, Eric, I can't with you. As he pulled away, I was left in a mental mush pool. I felt weak in my knees despite my will demanding me to stand straight in front of the boys before me. The world around me began to spin, and I tried to speak. I think I'm going to...
Where are our manners? I'm James, and these are my brothers, Sam, Eric, Matthew, and Damien.
Miss, are you okay?
Yes.
Shit. She fainted.
I couldn't believe it. Incubi, real. It all spun around in my head until I saw only black. Floating in the darkness, my mind kept replaying the scene over and over again, reminding my body of the touch of the incubi's lips against mine. Yeah, Eric and Sam. I can't with Eric, I swear. However, I began to feel the smooth silk around me and my eyelids unwillingly open. Where I awoke to find myself in an unfamiliar place where was Mom, Dad. I was pretty sure this wasn't my room. Oh wait, I lived in my grandfather's house now. Of course it would be unfamiliar. I rubbed my eyes and surveyed my surroundings. I was still in the clothes that I arrived in at the house in, but I was laying in a silk-covered bed. I remembered coming in this afternoon, so why was it nighttime already? Give me. Suppressing a yawn, I stretched my arms. Maybe I should order some food for delivery. I was feeling pretty hungry. I was about to sit up, but I suddenly realized that I wasn't alone.
You're awake.
Hi, Damien, the precious emerald, as people call him. I love him. He's so precious. Uh-huh. Uh, since when was he standing there, and who the heck was he? A guy in my bedroom? There's no way. Yeah, he has the power to read minds. Sorry, I think I was saying my thoughts aloud. Why was I apologizing to a stranger who only said 2 words since I woke up? Wait, he looked eerily familiar. Then it all came back to me. Incubus. He was an incubus or incubi, whatever. He and his brothers came here to refuge, and 2 of them kissed me, and then I fainted, and that was how things came to this. Oh. He was leaning against the far wall, looking at me. My heart began to race as I thought of the endless list of possibilities this situation brought me. I hated the thought of being. Hold on. Hated the thought of being under an incubus's power, especially in a bedroom. Be calm. I took a deep breath. I was sure that if any of them wanted to take advantage of me, they would have done it already. Yeah, I'm awake now.
That's good.
I saw a small form of a smile on his face, which made me blush a bit. Why though? One thing still concerned me though.
I'm not going to use my powers on you.
How?
I can read minds. It's an ability I was born with. Each of us has a different ability, outside of our usual mind-altering powers.
Great, even more surprised as I grew even more worried about the situation I was in. I see. How long have I been asleep?
For a few hours. It's already gotten quite dark outside.
Oh, well, where are the others?
My brothers are downstairs, cleaning up the blood from the lobby floor. And making you dinner as an apology.
Oh, okay, that was unexpectedly sweet.
Oh, it's the least we can do after invading your home.
He's so
and 2
precious.
of us using our
I love
powers on you.
him. Oh gosh. You've got a point. Right, I had forgotten about that. I can't speak. It still irked me that they had practically taken advantage of me at that point. If they were demons, it was pretty rude to demonstrate their powers by kissing me. It was some kind of human play. I wasn't some kind of human plaything. All of this seemed pretty unreal. It was like something out of those romance novels that Naomi sometimes read. I wished I could have just went back to sleep and forgotten about all this. Maybe I should have just called the police on them, then I would never have landed myself in this situation.
Do you feel well enough to get out of bed?
Yeah, I think so. Whoa!
Trust me, I won't let you go.
I'm not so sure about this.
I promise.
Okay, I trust you.
Good.
I was speechless. He was carrying me as if I was weighing nothing. He was so strong.
Thank you.
Yeah, I forgot.
It's all right. I'm used to it.
Aww. I decided to close my mouth for the time being so that I wouldn't weird him out or make things more awkward than they already were. Well, he didn't seem to mind carrying me or listening to me talk, so at least things weren't too strange. Damien seemed very quiet and calm about everything, especially with the situation we were in. However, there was a sort of longing in his eyes when he looked at me that wasn't lustful, it was more in admiration. Aww. Once we reached the lobby, I decided that I felt well enough to walk on my own. As strong as he was, it was like he was carrying nothing. I didn't want to make him carry me everywhere. Yeah, that would be mortifying. Thanks for carrying me, but I think I can walk by myself now. Not saying I didn't like it. I mean, I liked it, not in a weird way, of course. It's not like I get carried around all the time. What am I trying to say is that that it was really nice for you to do that. I started to fumble over my words again, real smooth.
It's no problem. I'll be heading to the dining room then.
Alright. Alright, see you. He gently lowered me to the ground before he walked off, quietly disappearing into the shadows of the dark lobby.
Oh, hi!
Hey, Matthew. Suddenly, a boy who looked around my age or possibly younger bounced up to me. He looked vaguely familiar. Oh, wait. Ah, you're Matthew, right?
Mm-hmm, that's me. Are you feeling any better now? We were all worried when you suddenly passed out.
Aww. I'm fine.
Really? Your face is kind of red. Do you feel sick?
No, she's just blushing. No, I'm fine. I'm sure of it. I must have been blushing when Damien was carrying me downstairs. How embarrassing.
Well, if you say so. I hope Sam and Eric didn't make you upset.
It's okay, after all, I did hit Sam after what he did. And about Eric, I just wanted you guys to prove to me what you were saying. I suppose incubi are real then? I wondered how exactly I got myself into this mess. First my grandfather, then I fight with my father, blowing up at Lisa, and now this? I certainly had a knack of forgetting myself into sticky situations.
Oh, I have an idea.
What's that? He shoved his hands into his pockets with a teary grin on his face.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
The little Simon doll.
Ta-da!
Oh, is he trying to do a magic trick?
Ta-da!
What is that exactly? He smiled as if to wave it off, but when he opened his eyes and saw what he was holding, his face froze in shock.
Wait a second. What did I just make? This is...
What he produced from his pocket was a creepy-looking doll.
Ah, what is that?
I'm not sure. The little laugh it makes. It's so adorable, actually. His face paled considerably, and he dropped it onto the floor, scooting away from it. Frank.
Get it away from me! I'll be possessed by a demon or something!
Oh, Matthew. But isn't he a demon himself?
That's not what I wanted to make! I just wanted to surprise you with a stuffed animal or just something to cheer you up.
Matthew.
It looks like it came straight out of a horror movie.
Matthew. He slumped his shoulders and looked down at his feet. Aw, he just wanted to surprise her. Oh, it's okay. You don't have to look so dejected. I mean, it's certainly unique. I think I'll keep it.
But it looks so creepy.
It's the thought that counts. The thought that counts, Matthew. Yeah, it's the thought that counts, right? You wanted to cheer me up after all. I picked up the doll and looked at it closely. Sure, it looked pretty weird at first, but it could be cute if you looked at it from a certain angle. I gave him a small smile. Thanks.
You're welcome. It's good to see you smiling, even though the thing I made still kind of creeps me out.
Yeah, no kidding.
Anyway, you should come with me to the dining room. We're almost finished with the food,
All right.
well, I don't mean to brag, but we're pretty decent chefs.
Sounds great. Lead the way. Something smells good. My stomach grumbled in agreement that I was starving.
Oh, the girl's awake.
Sam. Excuse you, I have a name, you know.
Should we really care?
Yes.
Sam, I will roast that tongue for dinner if it doesn't stop flapping in that idiotic mouth of yours.
Whatever.
I'm sorry, Sam, but that was actually a little funny to me. Sorry, Matthew.
I apologize for his attitude.
No, it's fine. Fine, James.
Good. I hope you'll enjoy the meal we prepared for you.
Meal? For a second, my mind didn't understand what James meant. Maybe it was the dog getting into my head and distracting me. Oh, that's right. Damien and Matthew mentioned that they were making dinner as an apology. Wait, you didn't have to.
We insist. Besides, it's quite impossible to undo our cooking, even if you command us to.
All right, well, thank you. Matthew put down the last of the plates on the table and bowed a bit exaggeratedly to me, gesturing to the table with a sweeping motion.
Ah, there we go. Dinner's all served.
The table was filled with various foods from the eclectic selection of cuisines. One portion of the table was filled with elegantly plated Asian foods and another portion of yummy-looking desserts. And there were yet more and more plates than I could have possibly imagined. Wow, that's a lot of food and it looks so good.
We hope you enjoy it, my sweet.
Eric, I swear. Sweet me?
That's enough, Eric.
You're no fun, James.
I don't need to be fun, Eric. Miss, please follow me.
I didn't know what came over me, whether it was his politeness or maybe his power, but I couldn't help but take his offered arm. James seemed very kind and intelligent, but aside from that, there was something that set him apart from his brothers, not to mention he didn't really seem to hold much appreciation for them.
Miss, I have to ask, why do you live alone?
Oh, well, it's kind of a long story.
I'm all ears if you wish to tell.
Sure. To put it briefly, I just moved here today.
That explains the luggage you brought in when you came through the front doors. By the way, we put your belongings in the room you were sleeping in. That seems to be the master bedroom, I believe.
Thanks. This house is really big. I don't think I've even explored this entirety of the estate when I was a child.
You lived here before?
No, truth be told, this is my grandfather's house. I used to visit him all the time when I was younger.
May I ask why you now live in your grandfather's house?
He actually passed away yesterday. It was I can't pronounce that word, to me in his will. Banquet to me in his will, and I was sent to live here whether I liked it or not.
My condolences. It seems like you don't like the idea of living here.
It's not that I don't like this house or that I don't have fond memories of being here. It's just the implications that come with staying at the estate. It's kind of complicated to explain.
How do you feel about it?
Mixed of emotions? I certainly wasn't expecting that question, but in a good way. It was different from what I had heard the entire day at school. I appreciated the fact that he was willing to listen. Oh, I did not mean to do that. I feel angry, sad, scared, and confused. It's hard picking out the different emotions that I'm feeling right now. I wish I was stronger.
You don't have to be strong.
Well, James, what do you mean?
I understand that you're going through a difficult time, so it's okay to feel those emotions. You don't have to be strong at all.
Thank you.
Are you all right? There seems to be a small bruise on your cheek.
He caught me off guard with that compliment. I thought no one would have noticed something as small as that. I'm fine. He stopped and leaned in close, a bit too close for comfort, or maybe it was just me. Inspecting my face, he was really quite tall, having to bend over so much to just look at me straight in the face. It was hard to look at him, especially when he was so close. After a few seconds, he straightened up and began walking again.
Well, if you're having any problems, I'm always here to listen.
Aww. That's really kind of you to offer that.
My pleasure. Here's your seat.
Let me get your chair for you, lovely lady.
Oh god. I feel like I'm dying inside. Eric, stop it. Eric was very charming and his smile pulled at my heart. The way he kept flirting with me definitely designated him as the charmer of the demons, yet there was a little distance in his eyes.
By the way, I apologize for my behavior earlier. Stealing your second kiss like that.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, when I didn't believe that they were incubi. It's fine, I guess. I mean, you don't just get up and grab a kiss for no reason.
I'm not as forward, unlike Sam.
His laugh, I love his laugh. Suddenly, Eric leaned in and whispered in my ear.
I won't lie, though. I enjoyed kissing you and feeling you melt in my arms.
Good lord, I can't. I can't. I can't with Eric. I can't. Stop it. I was torn between smacking him and trying to play cool. Be cool. You sure are quite the charmer.
Yes, I am known for that.
Oh, good grief, I can't. Dude. As much as I do appreciate the constant compliments, you don't have to keep talking to me like that.
Like what?
He batted his eyelids if he had no idea what I was talking about, then I couldn't help but laugh. Well, like you're trying to get into my pants half the time.
I can assure you, I'm just a lover of beautiful women.
Good grief. Oh, good grief. Something tells me that there's more to it than that. For a moment he looked away, losing a bit of his smile before I could question it, though he turned back to me with a new teasing smile.
Did you want there to be more?
Eric, stop it. I didn't want to hit him, but I didn't know how to react, so I couldn't look at him. He merely chuckled again in my ear.
Sorry. You just look so cute when you're blushing.
I can't. I felt my face heat up simply at his words. I then felt Eric take my hand and kiss it gently.
I hope you'll enjoy dinner, however, my dear.
Eric. Okay. I drew my attention back to the dishes. I was both intrigued and slightly scared at the amount of food they made. Seeing my expression, Eric leaned forward and proudly smiled, gesturing to all of the dishes with a dramatic sweep of his arm.
I made almost all of the dishes myself.
Hi, Matthew. Humorously enough, Matthew looked at him with a shocked expression as if he was betrayed. Aww. His face changed instantly to that of a frown.
And I'm the Queen of the Nile.
What's that supposed to mean?
Me, you, and James did the work together, dummy.
Aww.
It's you, James, and I, Matthew.
Little boys will always make mistakes.
Oh, give him a break. Give him a break, you two. Matthew looked at James in disbelief, probably foresided with Eric, and he annoyingly swiveled back to Eric to confront him.
I'm not a little boy. I'm barely a year younger than you.
Well, you certainly don't act like it.
I couldn't help but laugh. Matthew seemed very much like a kid. He was adorable. However, I couldn't help but feel like in the way he was much more mature than the others, especially Eric.
Huh? Is something funny?
No, no, it's nothing at all. Thank you for the meal, all of you.
Oh, you're welcome, miss.
Such a well-mannered young lady. Beautiful inside and out.
Eric. Oh god, Eric, no.
Eric, knock it off.
God, Eric, I can't. In agreement with Matthew, Sam cocked up his head and glared at Eric.
Seriously, you're getting really annoying with that suck-up act.
It was obvious that Sam was the bad boy of the group. He had his tough act, and it was obvious he was physically stronger than the rest of the guys. But was there more to him than that?
I'm just trying to be a gentleman.
There is more to
The
him
young
than
girl
that.
has already gone through so much. She deserves a good treatment.
There's a difference between being a gentleman and being an obnoxious flirt.
Okay.
Schooled even by James. You're gonna need some cold water for that burn.
Oh, Eric's face, I swear.
By the way, I don't believe we caught your name even though you know each of us.
I'm Laura.
It's a pleasure to finally know your name.
Yeah, that's a nice name.
They all were comfortable around me despite the awkward situation we were in. It was as if it were natural for them to be around humans. I guess that was just how incubi worked. But I was still curious about one thing. Excuse me. All at once they looked at me. I didn't know why, but having all of them look at me made me feel kind of important, like important, like a queen or something.
What is it, miss?
I wanted to thank you all for the food, but I still want to know why you all came here. I feel like I don't quite understand. Understand, yeah, like being told that a bunch of incubi randomly appearing in your house was perfectly, understandable.
Oh, how do we explain?
We were attacked. We came
Sam.
here to heal. What's so difficult to understand?
Don't be a jerk.
Now you're just being rude, Sam.
I'm just saying, how is that difficult to understand?
Oh my god, no, I mean, what specifically happened to you guys?
Well, you see, we've been traveling around for quite some time now. Just recently we came into town, but we were jumped by this band of misfits. So, in order to escape and heal, we came here for shelter. Again, we apologize for the mess we made.
It's fine. It's fine, I guess, so you're all better now, right?
Yup, all thanks to you.
Huh? Me?
You see, beautiful, we feed on sexual energy. But we don't just get it from kissing lovely ladies such as yourself. We can simply touch someone's hand to obtain sexual energy. Everyone carries sexual energy, you know.
Oh god. I was still in shock about their powers. It wasn't just kisses that give them power. It was anything physical. No wonder I was out for a while. The incubi intrigued me, but at the same time, I could almost hear a warning siren going off in my head.
Is there anything else you wish to know?
Well, what do you all plan to do now?
Yeah, what are we gonna do now, James?
That is a very good question. We just got here and surely we'll be hunted again if we leave.
Yeah.
We can take him easily.
Not without more training, Sam. The result of that was clearly evident in our last encounter with them.
At the moment, I didn't know what came over me, but I suddenly felt sorry for them. They couldn't possibly survive out there if they didn't know it was illegal to break into people's homes. They probably didn't know a bunch of other stuff. They probably would cause chaos all over town. Or on the flip side, they could be taken in for questioning and be poked and prodded like lab frogs for research. That was even worse. But most of all, they reminded me of back then. And don't mind me, I might be skipping this part. I had the opportunity to help them though, would I? I wanted to, but I wasn't sure if that was the best idea. After all, 5 demons in my house wasn't exactly the living arrangement that I had imagined when I first moved in. There was a matter of making sure no one found out about their powers. Thinking about them as lab rats made my stomach queasy. Even even if they passed for humans, they how would I explain having guys living in my house? Imagine if my friends came over, they would practically think I was a part of a harem or something. Oh god, imagine if my parents came over, I think my mom would faint. Who knew what my dad would do? I think he would have them arrested on the spot. This was hard. Maybe I should have written out the pros and cons list before actually having to make this decision.
Don't worry too much about it. You have plenty of time to decide. Besides, you should do what makes you happy as well.
It was strange that I happened to remember what my grandfather said to me when I was little, but it kind of made sense. They weren't in the same exact situation that I was in before, but I did what I to help out. Want to help them out. I think it would ease my con- conscience and also make me a bit happy to give them help, as weird as that sounded. Clenching my hands into fists, resolve I strengthened my resolve to speak up. Well, you could
What was that, lovely lady?
that is
Spit it out already.
I'm gonna punch you, Sam, I swear. If you don't stop talking like that. You could stay with me here if you'd like. As soon as I finished my sentence, the room became still. I'm not sure what went through their heads from my words. The silence in the air cut like a knife until I finally spoke up once more. It seemed like you all need a space to stay, and well, I just moved into this giant house, so it seemed like it made sense. It was still quiet in the room. I decided to keep talking. If you would like to stay here, though, there are 2 things that I need all of you to follow.
Yes?
First of all, you can't use your powers or deliberately do something that might harm me or any guest that comes over. Well, save your enemies, but you get my drift.
That sounds reasonable.
Second, you have to help me with any errands around the house. This place is kind of big, so yeah.
That is a generous offer, miss. Are you sure that would be okay? We don't wish to burden you any more than we already have.
It's alright, really. I mean, I just started living here myself, so I would appreciate some help around the
A
house.
wonderful idea. We'll live here and train while helping you with the house. Servants for the lovely princess.
Oh my god, Sam's face, I swear. I can't with Sam's face. Sorry, I'm still trying to get Discord to get open on my flipping computer. I still can't get it. Oh well. I'm pretty sure I'll get it open after the stream, but who knows. Oh shit.
What? Are you serious?
I can't. It keeps making me laugh. I can't. But at least I can open Discord on my phone, though.
Shh, be quiet, Sam. I haven't slept in the bed for days.
Oh, good grief. It made Damien laugh. Sam's face. Oh god. They all seemed to like the idea except for Sam, and hey, I didn't really hate the idea either, even if they were incubi. It would be interesting having 5 guys help me with taking care of the house, given they would follow the rules that I had just laid down.
Grr, fine! But we're not staying here forever. Only until we can beat up that group of punks.
Okay.
I think that is a reasonable time limit for our stay.
Yes, this is awesome.
Also beautiful, if you need a bedfellow.
Eric, stop. I swear, stop.
Eric, knock it off.
I was happy that they agreed. Maybe it was because I wasn't going to be lonely for a while. Maybe it was because they all needed help and my want to help people was fulfilled. It would never be sure.
So what are we waiting for? Let's celebrate and dig in.
Finally, I'm starving.
Instantly, Matthew and Sam began to stuff themselves with the food on the table. I noticed James's eye twitching in irritation, so I stifled my incoming laugh.
Really, you two? You're both acting like pigs.
Oh, let them have a little freedom, James.
Right.
It's not like we've eaten recently either. I'm sure they've been starving.
Still, that's no excuse for stuffing their faces like backyard swine.
I almost couldn't hold it in. But I did. I merely smiled before I took some food for myself. There was one piece of food that intrigued me and was barely touched by the boys. It looked like green pasta with shrimp over it. Huh? What's this?
That, miss, is a shrimp pesto dish. Pastas are my specialty, so I'm positive you'll enjoy it.
I twirled some around my fork and tried it. I could feel my senses open as my taste buds practically melted in delight at the taste. It was creamy and savory, almost impossible to describe. This is amazing.
I'm glad you like it. At least someone here in the room has taste.
Matthew and Sam glared at James before they continued to eat. I couldn't help but smile at the brotherly quarrel before eating the rest of the pasta on my plate. James seemed to really hold high standards for his brothers, though it wasn't my place to question why. Eventually, we all ate dinner together. It was strange eating with just guys, but they were enjoyable to be around. They made me feel like a part of their family as we ate together. However, our peace was soon disturbed. Let's skip this. Gonna have to
I'm sure. All right.
throw a little party for them. There are some things in the story that I'm actually going to skip. Don't mind me. Great. Now how am I going to do this?
Is something wrong?
She has to organize a house party for her parents.
Did you... oh, right. Mind reading. I love his laugh. So adorable. But yeah, I gotta do it soon, or my parents will be really disappointed. I'll have to stay up and organize everything tonight.
Hey, why don't we help you? That's what we're here for, right?
Thanks, Matthew.
I don't see why not.
I can name a few reasons why we shouldn't.
Sam.
Sam?
Back off.
We'll take care of everything, miss. Just leave everything to us.
Well, you don't have to, but thanks. That was surprising. I didn't think the boys would offer help right off the bat. I couldn't help but smile. I was I was actually rather thankful now that I let them stay. Now I didn't have to do everything alone. As I kept thinking about it, I couldn't help but yawn.
Feeling a little tired over there, princess?
Wonder how many times this voice actor has recorded the word princess. Now I'm curious. Sometime I'm gonna have to play this on my own again and count how many times he said the word princess. I'm actually rather curious. Yeah, it's been a long day. At least tomorrow's the weekend so I can sleep in. Then it hit me. Wait, where are you all going to sleep?
We found some guest rooms on the opposite end of the house from the master bedroom. I'm sure those will do just fine.
Alright. Oh, got it. Alright, then I'm heading to my room to study and sleep. I guess I'll see you all tomorrow?
Have a good night.
Thanks, Eric. I will. You too. With that, I left the dining room and went to my room.
Eric, no.
Oh, God, Eric, I can't with you. Good grief.
What? I wasn't going to do anything.
Yes, you was. Yes, you were.
Shh.
Eric, you shush. And again, I'm going to skip this.
You fucking pretty boys think you're all that, huh? Well, save that to the end of my pistol.
What's going on? I couldn't move my body. I felt like I was tied up and I couldn't see anything beyond the darkness that surrounded me. Yet I hear the sounds of a heated argument coming at me from all directions.
One move and she gets it.
Let her go!
Matthew?
Come on, chicken shit. Fight us like a real man.
Like you scare me, Sam. Come on. Take one step. I dare ya.
Why can't I see?
Stay away from her, Malix. And what are you gonna do, nerd boy?
Suddenly I felt myself pulled into one side and arms wrapped around my body protectively.
I've got you. Don't worry.
Eric? As I was held in a tight embrace, I felt the world around me once again settle into a low, peaceful hum. The hostility of the dream before had faded into black as the arms around me rocked me comfortably. Slowly, though, my eyes fluttered open and I looked at the person holding me. Damien? I stared into the eyes of Damien. His face was painted with worry and concern, and I knew he must have seen my dream. What did I dream of Eric? Why did I dream of Eric holding me, though?
You can't control your dreams.
True. Oh, well, I guess you're
Are
right.
you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you. What time is it?
It's 9 a.m. James and I were making breakfast when I, well...
You can't control your mind reading?
No, not yet at least. I hope to learn eventually, though.
Aww.
Is everything alright?
Huh, yeah, I'm alright.
That's good. I'm assuming you had a nightmare.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry for disturbing you both.
You didn't disturb us, miss. Besides, we'd rather make sure you're okay before anything.
Aww. Well, thank you.
Now, why don't you come downstairs with us and have some breakfast? I'm sure some nice food will take your mind off of what you dreamt of.
It was embarrassing to be the damsel in distress once again, but I felt rather happy that James and Damien were concerned for me, despite only knowing... Excuse me. Jeez. Blah, 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 blah. Despite only knowing me for a short time, I wasn't sure if it was just courtesy or if they were genuinely concerned. I couldn't exactly read their minds. Alright. The two boys led me back to the dining room where the smell of bacon and eggs danced in the air. The smell wafted from the kitchen and made its way into the room, making my stomach growl in need. Breakfast smells good.
We should be done with breakfast soon. If you want to sit down at the table, you can.
I nodded before sitting down. As I sat down, however, my mind drifted back to the dream I had. That feeling of hostility around me made my body shudder instinctively. even though I knew it wasn't real. However, my eyes closed, I felt a hand place itself on top of my head, breaking me out of my thoughts. Huh?
Morning. You alright?
Yeah, I'm fine. Sam, the owner of the hand on my hand, raised an eyebrow at me before rustling my hair and moving away to sit down at the table. He then barked towards the kitchen where James was working. Oh, God.
Hey! Is the food done yet? I'm starving!
Oh, God.
There's no need to yell, Sam!
You're yelling too!
Don't argue with me!
His face, I can't. Oh, that smirk, though. Okay. From behind me, Eric appeared and sat beside me, rubbing his temples in an obvious annoyance.
Can we not yell this early in the morning? It's not like we're in the castle.
A castle? For some reason, when I heard the word castle, I couldn't help but yell in surprise. These guys had a castle? Sam looked at me and smirked at my reaction.
Yeah, we have a castle back home. Our dining room's 10 times bigger than this room.
Then wouldn't it be logical to not yell?
Right?
Whatever.
Soon James and Damien appeared, hands full of plates that carried bacon, eggs, toast, and waffles. They placed the plates down by each seat before seating themselves.
My favorite.
Finally.
Thank you for the breakfast. It looks amazing.
It's our pleasure.
Oh, I didn't read that.
Hey!
All of a sudden, my phone began to ring, ushering me to pull it from my pocket to answer. Hello?
Hey! Good morning! Guess who's at your door right now?
Right on cue, there was a knock from the lobby door. My heart stopped. Susan and Naomi were here?
I'll get it.
My heart quickly began to pound in my chest. Matthew was in the lobby and he'd get to the door first. I instantly jumped out of the chair and rushed out of the dining room. As I passed through the archway between the dining room and lobby, I saw Matthew reach his hand for the brass door handle, causing the world to go into slow motion. Matthew, don't! But before the words could reach his ears, Matthew had opened the door and revealed the surprised faces on Naomi and Suzu. The world The world around me stopped, and as Susan and Naomi kept their eyes on Matthew, who merely stared back in fear and embarrassment, I could feel the air go from warm to freezing in a matter of seconds. You two gonna say anything?
Hi?
I could not believe this was happening. How was I going to explain this? This week was already bad enough as it is. To make matters worse, I was frozen in place. Please, for God's sake, someone do something other than stand there.
Who are you?
Suzu, let me explain.
What's going on here?
Who's at the door, Matthew? Oh.
Soon the other I can't speak English. Soon the other I can't read words. Soon the other incubi appeared in the lobby with us. The situation was not getting pretty. I had to think fast.
Then why did one of them open the door?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
It was no use. There was no time to lie to them. I felt helpless. Then I felt a hand on my shoulder and felt the tension in my body almost fade away. I turned my head to see James smile at me before stepping in front of me.
We must apologize, ladies. We know this situation must be confusing for everyone. Let's take this to the dining room and we'll explain everything.
I stared at James wide-eyed. Was he going to tell them who they were? Everything seemed surreal. Before I knew it, I was led into the dining room along with Suzu and Naomi and sat across from their confused gazes. As Naomi and Suzu sat down, Eric and Matthew placed their untouched plates of food in front of them, surprising their guest.
Whoa, this looks amazing!
Thank you.
Our pleasure, ladies. We hope you enjoy your meals.
Make sure you dig in!
I looked at Naomi and Suzu as they began to eat, visibly enjoying their every bite they placed in their mouth. Hopefully the food would ease their minds for whatever James wanted to reveal. As Naomi and Suzu ate their impromptu meals, James and the other boys stood behind my chair, making me grow more red in the face.
So, Anderson, are you gonna tell us what's going on?
Well, you see, gently James placed a hand on my shoulder and again, signaling me to just to eat my food. As I began to eat, he spoke to Naomi and Suzu.
We are Miss Anderson's house servants. We were hired by her late grandfather to help around the mansion, but since he has passed, we now assist Miss Anderson with living on her own.
That makes sense. It's such a huge house.
A huge house for a wonderful princess
Eric.
such as Miss Anderson deserves the greatest of servants to care for it.
Oh my god, Eric.
But why are you all dressed so casually and stuff? Aren't servants supposed to have uniforms or whatever?
Suzu.
Well, Miss Anderson allows us to get comfy while we work, so she lets us wear casual clothes.
Yeah, something like that.
Sam,
We're sorry
not
if
now.
we made this situation awkward earlier.
We're very sure that Miss Anderson is also still getting used to having us as her servants. It would be very hard to explain after just a day.
I guess.
So, if I may ask, what brings you two ladies here?
Well, we wanted to see how our friend was doing. Since it's the weekend and all, usually we hang out and just chill.
Yeah, like going to the arcade and stuff.
Or the Pink Lady Cafe.
There's an arcade?
Matthew, so adorable.
That makes a lot of sense, ladies. Well, we don't wish to disturb you any further than we have, so we'll take our leave and start preparing the house.
Huh? Preparing for what?
We gotta prep the house for some sort of housewarming party thing.
Our princess's parents requested a housewarming party to be held here soon.
Right. And by soon, they mean tonight.
Oh, well, I guess we can help out or something. Right, Naomi?
I thought you wanted to go to the arcade.
This housewarming thing is more important.
No need. We can handle it. If you'd like to, miss, you can go out with your friends while we handle things here.
Seriously?
Sam, not now.
Sam, not now.
Well, I wanted to help out, but at the same time, I wanted to go out with my friends. James gave me a look of understanding, letting me know that if I left, everything would be okay. I had to make a decision. I'm gonna stay here.
Are you sure?
Yeah, of course. I'm sure. Besides, it is my housewarming party. I should help out
Want us
too.
to help out as well?
I think we got it all taken care of. Thanks, though, girls.
All right. We'll head on out then, so we're not in the way.
Sorry, guys. I'll hang out with you soon.
It's all good, Anderson. We'll definitely come to the housewarming party tonight.
Thank you. I led them back into the lobby and walked them to the doors, opening it for them with a thankful smile. They both gave me hugs before walking up to Naomi's car, which was parked in the driveway. And with that, they left. I was happy that they wanted to help, but I had to do this on my own. It was not their work, so I didn't want to force it on them just because they were my best friends. We had the entire day to work. The party was tonight, and we had to do all we can do to make everything right. We sat down and talked about what we needed to happen before the party started. that night. Each guy had been I can't with words. Blah blah blah. Assigned a different part of the party to do, and right after lunch we began to work. Since everything was taken care of by at least one incubus or incubi, James told me I could assist one of them. The question was who? Let's go with James's route. I was going to do Matthew, but I wanted to do James. Let's help him. James and I headed out to the garden. It had been years since I had been in the small field. The gazebo was smaller than I remembered, but I had grown since I had last seen it. James rolled up his sleeves and took in a breath of air before sighing contently.
So, we need to cater to the plants and make sure there are no muddy spots in the grass. It may take a while. Are you sure you wish to help me and not the others?
I'm sure. I shook my head, rolling up my sleeves as well. I can handle it. I'd rather work outside anyway. James nodded with a smile before handing me the watering can, gesturing to a group of flowers by the side of the yard. I walked over and began to water the flowers. However, a silence took control of the air. I felt the need to start a conversation. Ask him a question. So, do you like flowers? I wanted to smack myself. That was a terrible conversation starter. I mentally smacked myself before hearing James chuckle softly. I turned to look at him as he nodded.
They have a wonderful aesthetic. Many people would think that flowers are simple and rather boring, but I've learned secrets about flowers.
Oh yeah? Secrets about flowers? What, like a special way to water them or something?
You could say that. There are right and wrong ways to water flowers.
There are? Can you show me? James gave me a small smirk before walking over and standing behind me. I instantly blushed as he brought his arms underneath mine, guiding my watering can. The water gently poured over the dirt, sinking into it and dissolving into the roots. However, my concentration on the water had broken by the sound of James' voice in my ear.
Flowers need to be cared for gently, like a fragile life. Too much power and they'll break, but too little and they'll wither and fade away. It's like caring for a pet or a loved one.
A loved one? For some reason, those three words echoed in my head. James continued to guide my watering can using gentle hands to lead my arms and my body. It was almost like a dance. Eventually, he let go and stepped away from me. I turned to him and as he gently smiled at me before returning to his work. I felt my face with my hand, feeling the extreme warmth before shaking my head and continued to water the remaining plants. Alright, we're gonna skip the house party.
I'm so sorry about...
Do you...
What do you think will...
What do you think?
Do you think the... Honey...
So...
David, leave...
Miss...
I'm gonna kick his ass right now!
Until then, we'll protect...
We have a protection spell on us, thanks to the grandfather.
I promise to be with you forever. You're so important to me.
I swear I'll give my life to you.
Please,
Let me love you.
I'll be by your side, always.
I can't imagine living without you.
I want to be with you.
I love you.
I slowly opened my eyes, letting the voices of my dream echo in my head and force me awake. I rubbed my eyes before sitting up and looking at my clock. 7 a.m.? Why am I up so early? I fell back onto the bed and closed my eyes, trying to go back to sleep. However, something kept me awake. Why? It's too early to be alive, or to be awake. I gave up instead of staring at the fireplace across from my bed. A sigh escaped from between my lips before I threw my legs over the side of the bed. What to do at 7 a.m. in the morning? Had to work on my homework. I had school tomorrow regardless of what was happening in my life. At the moment, I wish school was over. Well, might as well get it done now. I reluctantly took my book out of my bag that sat on the floor. I made my bed into I'm gonna skip this. Don't disturb them. Alright. Let's find one of the incubi. I quickly rushed back and grabbed the second food dish before hunting down one of the boys. I found James in the library, sitting in one of the comfy leather seats, reading a book. As I stepped in, James looked up at me before closing the book and standing.
Oh, hello.
Hi. Hey, James, I got some lunch for you.
That is very kind of you. Thank you.
James took his food and sat back down, placing the book he was reading on the table in front of him and setting the dish on his lap.
I'm sorry. I should have asked you first before exploring the house and finding this room.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine. Remember, you live here too, so any room besides mine is free to be in.
Still, you're the master of the house. I should have asked.
It's fine, really. James nodded at me with an understanding smile before eating his food. I followed along and ate with him. Taking the open chair beside his, we ate in silence, listening to the ambience in the room. Soon, however, I began to feel a little restless. Check out the book. I put my food down on the table and lifted the book up to examine it. Love and Romance, a study of intimacy. Oh, James. James let out a small nervous cough before he stopped eating and placed his food on the table.
Demons and humans are very different when it comes to affairs of the heart. I merely wanted to try learning a little more while I had the chance. I found that while I was looking around the room and had only just begun reading.
Ah, interesting. Love is different to demons? How so? James smiled before crossing his leg, getting comfy for the small lecture he was about to give.
Love isn't just a human emotion, miss. Demons like us feel them too. In fact, incubi and succubi feel emotions the most because of our link to sexual energy. However, we don't really experience love. We know of lust and passion.
But passion drives love.
For humans, yes. For demons, it fuels our need to breed and increase the strength of our lineage, as well as quells the hunger we have for sexual energy. It's very hard for us to develop feelings from passion, despite how easy it may logically seem.
You hunger for energy? I could tell I struck a nerve with James as I mentioned the word hunger. His arm twitched, obviously wanting to do something other than remain on the armrest of his chair. He continued speaking regardless.
Sexual energy is our natural food source and is one of two ways to keep us alive. In the abyssal planes, there are many demons to feed off of who are always willing to give their energy up, so sexual hunger is never an issue. In the human world, however, we've come to realize that getting energy is a little more difficult.
Can't you just touch a human for their energy like you all did with me?
That only gives us so much. A touch is merely a taste, while intimate sex is a banquet for us.
I guess that was true. Humans weren't all about sex and were probably a lot more conservative than demons. At least it would be hard to gain sexual energy from. Excuse me. Sorry. From a human without doing something to them or catching them in the right mood.
This is why we have a mind-altering ability to convince humans to give in to their desires. It's not 100% effective, but it gives us a better possibility to get what we need.
What if you don't feed on sexual energy? What's the other way to stay alive?
Food, typically. However, we're weak without actual sexual energy. Without sexual energy, we become less than human. We have no power nor moral consciousness. We basically start to become unfriendly.
Ah. Are you hungry now? James didn't reply. He simply stared at me, unable to answer. However, I could tell that he was. He was clutching the armrest tightly, digging his fingers into the leather. I gently leaned close to him from the chair and reached to brush my fingers over his hand. If you really need energy, I'll help you a little. No sex, but enough to stop the hunger, okay? Once again, I was greeted with the silence from James. He seemed very nervous and uncertain about what to do. Where did I leave off? I'm sorry. Uncertain about what to do. Now that the approval was there, he was also frozen from my touch, softly and barely twitching at the feel of my skin against his. Excuse me. I could feel his hand grip the armrest harder. A small feeling of boldness that then ran through my body forcing me to cover his hand completely with my own before leaning nose to nose with James in seriousness. Alter my mind if you're concerned about me. I really do want to help you out. All of a sudden, I felt something in my mind snap and ooze into the warm, fluffy feeling I felt before with Sam and Eric. I felt my body slightly heat up as James released the armrest and gently took my wrist. He gently pulled me out of my chair and onto his lap, having me straddle him with my thighs. He stared deep into my eyes, his own glowing in hunger that I looked away for a second. Where did I leave off at? That I never would have expected to see him from.
I won't go overboard.
Oh my god, that art. I love it. Before I knew it, his lips were pressed hard against mine, my head being pulled into his by his hand on the back of my neck. I gently moved my hand to his shoulders and chest, melting in his lap and enjoying every feeling that ran through my body. I felt hot, desperate, and in need for more than just his kiss. One of my hands slid up his neck and into his hair as James lowered his kisses to my neck, gently groaning against my skin. I couldn't help but let out a small whimper of pleasure before reaching up and covering my mouth. I didn't want the others to hear me, and I was positive neither did James. James lowered his free hand to my lower back, pulling my body against his. I felt my energy slowly draining, causing me to cuddle closer to James' hold on me. He lowered his hand to my waist, squeezing it tightly as his tongue ravished my neck. His hand that was on the back of my neck, however, gently came around and held on the tail of my bow. I sucked in in a breath, but James didn't pull it to untie the bow. James lifted his lips from my neck and gently leaned his forward to mine. Rubbing nose to nose with me, he was gently breathing fast, slowly, red in the face, and as deep into the moment as I was.
I won't go any further if you don't want me to.
I could feel the hold of his mind altering spell fade away, but I still felt hot. Something told me that I wanted more, but at the same time I wasn't sure if it was truly if I truly did want to give any more. Keep going. I opened the opportunity and I was enjoying it as much as he was. I wanted more and I was going to let him keep going. He promised not to go far, but this wasn't far enough for me. I gently leaned in and kissed him, giving him silent approval to keep going. I could feel him pull me on the tail. I could feel him pull on the tail of my neck, releasing it and letting it follow his hand off from around my neck. He moved the ribbon to the empty seat before gently unbuttoning the top half of my blouse, going no lower than above my stomach. The desire in my body drove me to move the sleeves of my shirt down my arms, escaping from it and letting the shirt hang around my belly. As he began to ravish my neck and shoulder in hot kisses, I leaned my head back and let a pleasurable sigh escape my lips. The pull in my body from him draining my energy had slowed immediately, immensely, almost completely stopping. However, James kept touching and kissing me regardless. He was full, but he was as hot as I was and kept loving on my skin and on me. I couldn't even comprehend how much time we spent making out. I was so lost in the pleasure that I didn't care. Call it sinful, but I didn't care. I loved it. His touch, his kiss, his heat. I desired it beyond anything that the moment, even as he lowered his kisses down my chest, it just lowered my down my chest to just above my bra. My heart was beating wildly in my chest. Something about James drew me to him like a moth to a flame. I didn't know if it was his aura or I can't pronounce that. Oh, good Lord. Or his gentle smile, but something made my heart quicken for him. It couldn't have been love, but it was too passionate to be lust. What was it? However, I began to feel dizzy, seeing the ceiling start to spin almost wildly. I gripped onto James's shoulder, trying to signal him to stop, but my mind faded to black before I could let out another sound. I felt good. I didn't care that I was blacked out. I felt warm and fuzzy in the darkness. I never knew indulging in that kind of passion would be that good. I now just waited to awaken, hopefully in a good way. My eyes eventually fluttered open, adjusting to the sight around me. I felt familiar silks under me, letting me know that I was in my bed. I slowly sat up, stretching from the tiredness that still lingered. I felt a very soft pain on my neck and shoulders, and I could feel my swollen lips pulse gently and healing. However, when I looked down at my body, I saw that my shirt had been pulled back up and rebuttoned as if nothing happened between me and James. I was just missing my ribbon. Before I turned to get out of bed, though, I spotted my ribbon on the pillow beside me, the one that I slept on. It was tied in a nice bow around a red rose that was freshly bloomed, with a small note attached to it. I gently slipped the note from the tie and opened it to read it.
I apologize for indulging myself as I did. I hope that you will not dislike me when you awaken.
Oh, James. I stared at the note, unbelieving what I read. Why would he? Blah, 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 blah. Why would I dislike him? I let it happen, and I enjoyed it. It was cute though to imagine him asking for forgiveness for something we both did and enjoyed. I brought the rose to my nose and gently inhaled its soft fragrance. I indulged myself to James. I looked at the time out of curiosity. The large white numbers on my phone showed 5:31 p.m. Yikes, 4 hours of being knocked out and I still feel tired? It was Sunday, so I was allowed to sleep longer if I wanted to. The remainder of the night passed by, surprisingly uneventful. The boys continued to train with each other, but were kind enough to stop and make me dinner. I was glad for that. Unsurprisingly, the food was perfect, but it felt a little empty without the boys to eat with me. They most likely had already eaten, but still I felt lonely. I couldn't let it bother me. I ate and went back to my room to study and sleep. Surprisingly, I felt good going to bed that night. I felt like I could have a peaceful sleep after the precious rough nights I had. I felt good. I drifted to sleep and woken up of almost flawlessly the next morning. No grunginess, no aches, perfectly energized and bright-eyed. Man, how long has it been since I got that much good sleep? I looked to my alarm clock. I woke up 10 minutes before my alarm. Well, hey, I must be lucky today. Karma owed me some luck after all I had gone through in merely a handful of days. I deserved to get some good luck. Ecstatic for the day headed ahead, I turned off my alarms before they could ring and got dressed. However, my phone started to quickly buzz from an incoming text. Huh? Who's texting me this early?
Yo, Anderson! You're carpooling with us from now on. We're not letting you waste your money on a bus. Get ready and be at your gate at 7 stat.
Alright. I smiled. My friends were the best. I couldn't drive yet. I couldn't have a car, so it was awesome that my friends would let me carpool. I checked the time, 6:30. Perfect, I can eat some breakfast before they come. I packed my bag and carried it downstairs towards the kitchen. As I entered the dining room, I saw a plate with eggs, toast, and bacon sitting on the table. A fresh, steaming cup of coffee sat next to the plate with the sugar and creamer on the side. I walked to the table and couldn't believe what I was seeing. Who made this? As I spoke aloud, a small red note caught my attention. Have a good day, yours. My heart skipped a beat as I finished. Tell it. I could tell it was from one of the boys. Maybe it was from him, James. I smiled before putting the note in my bag and eating up the food was blah blah. And eating up the food was so delicious. I devoured every amazing bite. I looked at the time again. Time to go. I quickly rushed to the doors, checking myself in the passing mirror. I wasn't trying to impress anyone, but I still needed to look decent. Before I could reach the handle of the door, however, someone took my hand. Huh? I turned to see James, who was holding my hand back with a concerned frown on his face.
My name.
Your name?
My true name isn't James, miss. I want you to know my real name if something were to happen.
If something were to happen. Oh yeah, Malix. His true name, what did he mean? Why was he telling me this now? James gently pulled me to him and leaned close to whisper in my ear.
My name is Raestro.
Okay, Ristro. As he said his name, I could feel it lock into my memory. Something in my head would make sure I would never forget it. James pulled away and smiled at me, despite still carrying worry in his eyes.
If you're in any danger, call my name. I promise that I'll come and help you.
I stared up at James, unable to say anything. I could only nod in response. James smiled before kissing my hand, then heading into the dining room. Something told me that name would be useful eventually. And right on cue, Naomi drove up at the gates with Suzu waving me down. I rushed out the door and we headed to school talking about the homework and the coming day. Let's skip this. Alright, let's call for him. All of a sudden, a bright purple light engulfed the room, causing the devils around me to cover themselves.
What the?
Gusts of wind rushed past me, almost forcing me back. I covered my face with my arms, bracing myself and standing my ground. I tried to peek through my arms to see what was going on, but the light continued to shine brightly. As the gust slowly started to die, the light began to fade, revealing James pointing a straight golden gun behind Alex's head. I like that art style. James?
It's all right now. I'm here.
Malik stared wide-eyed behind him, unsure what to do. He had no time to react in case James pulled the trigger. He was stuck, feeling feeling the presence of James' golden gun that was ready to launch a bullet into his skull.
Well, it seems like I finally have your cooperation, Malix. It took long enough.
You piece of demon shit! I could shoot you right now.
And what's stopping me from shooting you first? If you so much as flinch, I will pull this trigger and end you once and for all.
The remaining devils stared, trying to figure out what to do, help Malix or watch in silence. Eris, however, walked up behind me and crossed her arms as she watched with an amused smirk on her face. Malix growled, obviously annoyed at the predicament he was in.
What is stopping you, pretty boy?
Just me wanting to do this.
With no hesitation, James quickly moved his gun and shoot both of Malix's hands. The gun dropped from Malix's shot hand onto the ground as he knelt over in pain, holding his hands to his chest.
You son of a bitch!
Before Malix could finish the sentence, James aimed the gun once again at Malix's head, causing the devil to stop talking once again.
I didn't say you could speak. Do you want me to shoot you in the throat?
Yikes. I stared at James in shock. Was he playing with Malix? He seemed to act like a cat poking a sharp claw at a wounded rat. It was warranted, but not what I expected of James at all.
Now, I'm going to give you 3 seconds to get on your knees to beg for forgiveness. Or the next bullet goes through your pathetic hellborn skull.
Malix hesitated, but eventually ended up on his knees. However, as he settled onto the ground, Malix wrapped his arms around James's leg and dug his teeth into it. Jeez Louise! I gasped, but remaining still as I watched James aim and fired a shot into Malix's back. Malix released James's leg in shock, trembling at the newfound pain. However, for some reason, Malix didn't fall over and die. He remained still, staring ahead of himself in pure shock and pain. I could only watch in silence as James lifted his leg of Malix's embrace and kicked Malix to the side.
Disobedience until the very end, huh?
Excuse me. The air instantly went from frantic to still in energy. What could have been described in tone as the color red quickly turned into a deadly mix of purple and gold as everything began to blend together all at once. I stared as James seemed to grow more menacing towards Malik. However, he quickly turned to me with a face of concern.
Please, forgive me for this.
I grew confused but wasn't allowed to think on it as James looked back down at Malik's once again. James' eyes began to glow a bright gold as he lifted Malik's by his collar and pulled him up and off the ground.
It's high time you discovered the true power of demons.
James's voice had changed, sending a large shiver down my spine. His appearance also started to change, but before I could see clearly what James was becoming, my eyes were covered.
It's me. Don't look.
Hi, Damien. I listened carefully and let the last two words linger in my mind. Don't look. What was being what was being hidden from me? I wanted to know, but something told me to obey Damien's command. I could hear Malik struggling to get out of James's grasp, and the rich, bright sound of magic being cast. I struggled with myself to obey Damien's words, locking my arms to my sides, denying myself if the chance to pull Damien's hands off from my face.
Let me go!
As you wish.
The sounds of demonic screams and cries bellowed all of the sudden, causing me to tense up in Damien's hands. Malik began to scream in agony, straining as if he was being pulled somewhere against his will. Malik's voice began to trail out into a whisper as the magic sounded in the air consumed his cries. Soon enough, the cries and whisper magic stopped, leaving the air as silent as it could be. However, Damien didn't remove my hands.
Jeez, James. Haven't seen you use that trick since the intruder in Demon Castle. But you're losing your touch. You even lost your glamour spell.
It couldn't have been helped.
Glamour spell? What did he mean? Why did James sound so different? Why was this being hidden from me?
It's a spell that makes us look human.
I froze. Look human? They didn't look like humans after all. What did they look like?
Like demons.
As if Matthew knew what Damien was talking about, Matthew spoke up, followed by the sound of a cork popping out of a bottle.
Well, not for much longer. Here.
Thank you, Matthew.
I could hear the small clinking of glass being passed before hearing James guzzle down a liquid of some sort. The stiff feel of the air around me gently began to warm back up, insinuating that everything had been returned to normal. Finally, Damien moved his hands from my eyes, allowing me to see around me once again. The devils, including the heirs, had fled. Malik's was nowhere to be found. The boys, however, had gathered around me, all of them, including James, looking like nothing had happened. What just... I tried to speak, but everything zipped around in my head at the whole event, and I felt like speaking wasn't possible.
Let's just get you home, miss. There's nothing more to see here.
I can only nod. What had happened boggled in my mind to the point of disbelief. I was second guessing everything, lost in sea of what and how and when. As we walked out of the warehouse, I looked to James for some form of sign that I wasn't dreaming. James kept his eyes forward, not able to look at me. Aww. It was over. Malix was gone and the boys were finally safe. A wave of relief ran through my body at the thought of never having to deal with that group again. At the same time, a pang of realization hit the back of my mind. The boys were only going to stay until after Malix was defeated. That was our deal. As we approached home, I could feel something heavy weigh down my heart. It was late, but the boys led me inside and turned on the lights in the lobby.
Finally, we can relax.
It will be good to have some rest without devils breathing down our necks.
I'm just tired. Can I hit the hay early?
I think some sleep would be good for all of us.
Right. I looked at Damien knowing he could read my mind and frowned. I didn't want him to know about my thoughts on the situation. Yeah, bed sounds good. I wanted to just end tonight. Too much had happened and I felt dizzy just trying to figure it out. However, Damien spoke up, stopping all of us from moving.
Should we be gone in the morning?
The air became still with tension. The realization of the situation hit the boys like a wave, forcing them to turn to me in curiosity. They had remembered their deal and were now awaiting me to decide their fate. I gulped, face to face with the reality of the situation. The boys were leaving it up to me. They looked like they were willing to accept whatever I had demanded. It was only fair, though, after all that had happened. I looked to James, feeling my heart flutter in my chest. I didn't want him to leave, but when he asked to stay, I hoped that he would say no and ask me to stay longer. As if he knew what I wanted, James moved and smiled at me, taking my hand and bringing it to his lips for a kiss. He moved it away and smiled to me and spoke.
Miss, if I may be so forward. Despite the short time we've stayed here, I've thoroughly enjoyed my time here. That being said, would you allow us to stay here?
My heart skipped while a large red blush ran across my cheeks. The boy stared at James wide-eyed, but didn't dare to speak out. James stepped back to give me space, returning where he was. I moved my gaze across each boy, trying to make a decision. If they left the morning, I would never see them again, and my life could return to normal. If I had decided to let them go, that would have been for the best. No goodbyes, no delays. But did I want to? They had done so much for me in such a small amount of time. I wanted them to stay. I wanted James to stay. I merely smiled, staring at the man that had come to have feelings for we were speaking at last. I would love it if you all can stay. The boys cheered tiredly, but nonetheless enthusiastically. I giggled at the sight. It was cute to see everyone so excited despite the tiredness that ran equally through our bodies. Today was a rough day. My home is your home as long as you can still help with chores. The boys nodded in unison, agreeing to the terms I had set for them. Despite the good situation, I felt myself slowly slipping into unconsciousness. However, James quickly clapped his hands together, getting everyone's attention and waking me up, making sure I didn't pass out on the floor.
All right, everyone. We're all very tired, so let's head to bed, shall we?
Oh, yeah, sleep is actually a thing. Right.
We've had
Cute.
a very long day, but it will be good to just relax tonight and tomorrow.
Right.
Sleep sounds really good right now.
Yeah, man.
I watched a very happy smile grow onto James's lips. He shared my excitement knowing that we would be together longer. Who knew how long we would stay together? All I cared was that I would be with him. The others quickly left to finally rest, having me and James alone at last. My heart fluttered a bit as James walked closer to me, gently wrapping his arms around my form. I placed my hands onto his shoulders, leaning close.
You are an absolutely wonderful woman. I'm so happy that you let us stay here.
I'm happy too, James. I stared up into his eyes, getting lost in them. I didn't know if it was the tiredness or my growing attachment to him, but I felt myself lean into James's body. It invited me to stay in a while, making me forget blah blah English. Making me forget that my bed was also calling for me.
Listen, about what happened at the warehouse.
No, it's fine. You did what you had to do. I understand. Blah. I had accepted everything while in James's warmth. He was real, and he was someone I didn't want to be without, even if that meant nodding against my curiosity. Besides, I was too tired to explore that memory further. James nodded before kissing my forehead sweetly.
Come, let's get you to bed.
And then we're going to meet Diana. Oh boy. Michaela, as I love you for doing the voice of Diana. I love you so much. I nodded before James gently lifted me up into his arms like a bride and carried me to my room. I didn't want to leave his arms, leaning my head against James's chest, but eventually I was slowly lowered to my bed and covered with my bed covers. I was still in my school clothes, but I was too tired to strip or care. I looked to James, fighting a yawn from escaping me as he gently ran a hand over my hair.
Have sweet dreams. I'll prepare breakfast again for you in the morning.
Oh. I nodded with a tired smile before watching him slowly stand and leave my room, closing the door. A wave of happiness washed over me as I laid in bed. I made a good choice. Sure, it would be hard, but I could tell that I would be able to manage it. Help around the house and being with the man whom I'm slowly starting to fall for would be worth it. I slowly felt my exhaustion take over. I let myself consume as I drifted into darkness in my mind. Everything was peaceful. I was happy. Until we meet Diana. Hey, girl.
You are an interesting creature.
I opened words. I opened my eyes to see a woman staring down at me with a very sly smirk on her face. I opened my mouth to scream in fright, but a hand quickly covered my mouth.
No screaming now. Too early, silly girl.
I could only stare up at the woman above me. I still felt weak, not having the strength to move and to fight her off. What was going on, and why was she here?
Why do the boys like you? You're unique, yes, but that can't be all that you have going for you.
Rage began to consume my core again. This woman, whoever she was making me mad. She must have known, and she let another smirk grow onto her face.
Ooh, you're feisty. That could be why.
Before I could bite her hand in anger, she removed her hand from my lips, standing up and staring down at me from her place next to my bed. I seriously love her outfit, I swear. She looks so pretty. I quickly sat up and glared daggers at the intruder. She was very beautiful, but I felt more anger than amusement. But the amazement, words. Who the hell are you and why are you in my room? The woman began to laugh, making the rage inside me increase. I wanted to punch her, but I waited for her answer.
How silly of me. I forgot that we demons are not well known of in your world. You can call me Diana, little human.
I really like that name, Diana. Diana, demon, a succubus. You're a demon?
I am. But I'm much more than just an average demon.
What do you mean?
Silly girl. I'm a succubus.
Succubus. I stared at Diana in shock. A succubus? First incubi, now a succubus? Great. I had now met both genders of sex demons. Diana crossed her arms under her bosom and looked at my body.
Well, you are pretty. A goody little two-shoes, aren't you?
I moved out and... Excuse me, I apologize. I moved and stood up from the bed, still glaring at Diana. Why are you here?
Oh, I just wanted to see who my competition was.
Competition?
For the boys, of course. They don't belong here, and yet here they remain. I want to know why, and remedy this little issue.
Okay. This girl was seriously pissing me off. Issue? What issue? They want to stay here so they can.
Silly, uneducated human. You don't understand the important roles these boys play in the abyssal planes. You keeping them here is practically imprisonment.
To you? You have about 10 seconds to leave.
Is that a threat?
No shit.
How cute. What are you going to do? Kill me?
And if I do...
You barely have the strength to stand, little human. I can rip the rest of your energy out and knock you into a coma. You'll never be able to wake up again.
Touch me and I'll...
Enjoy every minute of it.
I felt my body freeze and heat up to almost a painful haze. My mind began to feel fuzzy as Diana stepped to me and caressed my cheek.
Now, you're going to listen to everything I say without any questions. Got it?
I nodded.
Good. I plan to bring the boys back to the abyssal planes. Why? So that I can take my place as queen of their realm. They have no reason to be here in this silly little world, so I'm going to make sure they return home. Okay, Pumpkin?
I nodded but growled. My rage couldn't be concealed despite the hold I was under. You evil bitch!
Call me evil all you want, dearie. I'm not evil. You're just in my way.
I felt Diana lean into my ear and whisper, making me unconsciously shiver in both pleasure and annoyance.
Now, be a good little human and go to bed. I'll make sure they're gone before you get home tomorrow from school, so make sure to say goodbye in the morning.
Diana? What the hell? I felt my body move on its own to lay in bed and cover itself with my bed sheets. I glared at Diana the entire way down. Diana laughed at my futility. I'll get you.
Oh, please do.
All of a sudden, her voice deepened and became cold and demonic, sending a violent scared shiver down my spine. Her red eyes practically illuminated in the darkness of my room as she glared at me.
Give me a reason to make your life a living hell.
I gritted my teeth, trying to fight back against the hold on me. She couldn't have been that tough. She needed energy to survive, right? I was sure she couldn't have had enough to hold me down forever. Diana then laughed and returned to normal.
Oh, and make sure you don't tell the boys I was here. I want my visit to be a surprise.
I felt the hold on me disappear, allowing me to sit up and practically growl at Diana in rage. What's stopping me?
then you must not care about your friends and family as much as you care for the boys.
I stopped and stared. What did she mean by that? Was that a threat to my family? Diana smirked at me, knowing the confusion behind my eyes.
Let's just say that if you tell the boys about me, I'll make sure that no one will care for you, and you'll be all alone in this little house until the day you die.
Damn. I could feel fear creeping into me. Alone? Alone? How could she do that? The word demon reverberated in my head, reminding me that I was facing off against something supernatural. A human with a shield versus a demon was one thing. A human on her own versus a demon was another.
Have a good night.
Oh, fuck you. Diana. And with that, Diana sank into the floor through a magic purple pentagram which disappeared as her head vanished into the floor. I couldn't believe it. I had one problem and now I had another. Instead of a crazy psycho devil who wanted to kill me and the boys, I had a succubus wanting to ruin my life and take the boys away. Could my life get any worse? No, I wasn't going to let her win. She's not as powerful as she looks, I know it. I had to mentally confirm it. She wasn't going to win. The boys wanted to stay with me. I let out a sigh before closing my eyes and affirming my plan of action. No matter what she was going to do, I was going to beat her. Eventually the morning arrived and the sun screamed at me to get up. Surprisingly, I woke up before my alarm clock once again, which was nice. I stretched out and quickly got dressed, getting ready for school. She expects me to say goodbye to the boys. I will say good morning and we'll see them when I come back. No way am I going to say goodbye. I scooped up my bag and headed downstairs to the dining room, seeing the boys already eating a delicious selection of food. The smell made my stomach growl wildly. The sight of food drew me to walk further into the room.
Good morning, miss. Did you sleep well?
Before I could lie, hiding the incident in the back of my mind, Damien furrowed his eyebrows and stopped eating.
She's here.
The boys looked to Damien in confusion while I cursed his abilities silently in my mouth.
Damien, what's up with you? Of course she's here. She kinda owns the house.
Wrong person. Damien looked to me, wanting me to explain for him. However, the threats that Diana gave me last night warned me to keep my mouth shut. Damien pressed his lips together to a fine line. The other boys looked at me with a raised eyebrow. A girl named Diana came by last night.
Diana? Is she important?
Did she try to hurt you?
She's a succubus. That single word made the boys stop and stare at me. I looked at each boy, unsure of what was going on through their minds. Should I have avoided it?
So, she's come to try and bring us back.
She must really be desperate.
Well, what should we do now?
Nothing. She'll give up eventually.
Will she?
The boys continued to look at me as if I knew the answer to that question. Damn it, Damien! She said if I told you she'd make my life a living hell. She can't possibly do that, right? She's not a devil.
No, she isn't. However, she is a very powerful demon.
She's a master of mind manipulation and has been trained in illusion. Unlike other demons who use strength to get power, she uses her charisma.
She has the power to make armies bow to her and obey her every whim. That's why she's so obsessed with us.
What do you mean?
Well, she sorta has family ties to us. She was promised to marry one of us in exchange for more power.
She's just some whacked up hussy who doesn't know how to close her legs. She's not a real threat.
Oh, really? I feel insulted.
The boys and I looked around the room, wondering where the voice came from. I felt cold sweat run down the back of my neck in fear, remembering what kind of power she had. At last we saw Diana by the entrance of the kitchen, juggling a single red apple in her hand as she leaned against the archway. The boys quickly surrounded me, glaring at the intruder.
So, you took up a human name as well.
Beautiful name, isn't it? Well, for a human name, anyway.
What the hell do you want?
To bring you back, of course. However, you weren't supposed to know that I was coming. I completely forgot about that little mind-reading ability. My mistake.
Wow. Diana pushed off from the archway and walked towards us, making the boys step closer to me in a protective circle. Diana laughed.
My. What has the world come to? A group of demons protecting a human girl? I'll tell you right now, she's not that pretty. And from what I can tell, she's still a virgin.
My face grew red in complete anger and embarrassment. How dare she? I'm not going to say anything this time. Diana chuckled and smirked at me, knowing that I wanted to hit her but had control of myself.
Such control you have, human. You know your place very well.
I didn't control the growl that escaped my throat, however.
Well, will you all change your minds? I assure you, it's for the greater good.
I expected the boys to say no. What I heard was complete silence. None of the boys replied to Diana, which made me both nervous and fearful as to why. Diana leaned her head back a bit, surprised for a different reason.
No. Well, I see.
Was silence truly them saying no to her? I looked around at the boys and saw the disobedience in their eyes, giving me my answer. I felt my heart flutter, especially when my eyes landed on James. He kept close to me, glaring daggers into Diana. I could feel that he was completely adamant in his choice to stay. I don't know what, but I was incredibly happy to know he wanted to stay. Diana sighed and pressed her finger into her temple, rubbing it gently.
Either all of you are playing a very convincing hard-to-get game, or you all must be out of your minds.
Diana then looked to me, locking her gaze with mine as if to read me. I could tell she wanted me to do something, but the boys would stop her, so the stare was their only available action. After a small moment of silence, Diana licked her lips before breaking the gaze battle and smiling to the boys around me.
Very well. I guess I'll take my leave now.
What? Her leave? Was she serious? The boys around me straightened up and grew confused looks on their faces as Diana stepped back and away from us with a small bow flaunting her cleavage. Without another word, a deep purple pentagon appeared under her feet, and Diana's body slowly sank into the floor. As her head vanished into the floor, the pentagram vanished. At once, the boys relaxed and slowly began to return to their spots at the table, each in deep thought.
She'll be back, but she won't kill us. She needs us alive.
Whatever. We'll just keep saying no. She can't force us to come back.
She can't do anything but annoy us. Eventually, she'll give up.
That's the hope, anyway.
Hopefully. James walked over to me and gently caressed my cheek, looking at me with a comforting smile.
There's no need to worry. I promise she won't hurt you.
James, I nodded, feeling that he was telling the truth, or at least a hopeful and comforting thought. James kissed my forehead, however, making me blush and forget that what I was thinking about. Dang it. The sound of collective chuckles and playful snickers whispered through the air, making me blush even more, but the sudden growl that erupted from the man above me made the laughter stop. I didn't see James's face, but I could tell that he was glaring at the brothers with his lips on my head. He and I pulled away from each other just as the sound of Naomi's car appeared. I quickly ate my food, waved to the boys, and left, confident that nothing was going to happen. Never ever say that nothing will happen before the day is over. True. I avoided talking about the ride back home yesterday, saying that the ride was a one-time thing. I'll be riding with you guys from now on, to and from school. I'm going to skip this.
What you what? What? You
James. Suddenly Diana stopped in her tracks.
James, who is?
It then dawned on her.
Ah, one of the boys. Why don't you tell me which boy is James?
I felt myself nodding compliance. The oldest. Diana giggled and replied before letting go of my face and stepping back.
Really? The eldest son with you?
Ouchie. Yeah, so what? Got a problem? I nodded once again, but this time it was partly my own decision to reply. Diana let out a sound that mimicked a cat's purr before stepping away from me.
All right, then. Well, if it's the eldest son you're infatuated with, you should really rethink your romantic options.
Diana chuckled before kissing my nose, where I felt a shot of energy zap out of my body, almost making me dizzy and recoil. Diana then turned. I'm gonna skip this. Skipping all this.
Oh, you're awake. Good. Oh, how do you feel?
Better. James nodded before he gently reached over and ran his hands through my hair, examining my face with soft sadness.
I'm sorry this is all happening to you. I really wish there was something I could do to fix all of this.
Oh, James. James, it's not your fault.
No, if we never came, then you'd never be targeted by either Malix or Diana.
I quickly reached over and put my finger on his lips, stopping him from going any further. I didn't want to hear any more. James, it's okay. I wanted to help you out. I offered to let you all stay. Nothing is your fault. I gently moved my hand and cupped James's cheek, staring at him with concern. I didn't want him to hold guilt in his mind about this whole ordeal. Diana was desperate and she'll hunt anyone for them. It wasn't his fault she was desperate enough to hunt them down. However, I was concerned. So, James, you're a demon prince? James then twirled a strand of hair around his finger, staring at it.
Yes, I am. I was.
Was?
I was a demon prince when I lived in the Abyssal Plains. I didn't enjoy a single minute of being the heir. The only moments I truly enjoyed were when I was with my brothers. Thus, I left with them to come here.
What was it like while you were there? Hold on, before we continue, I'll be right back. What was it like while you were there?
Well, other than consistent studying and training to be a resilient leader and all-around ruthless lord, it was bland. I never truly knew what freedom was until I was excused from my sessions.
James looked to me with a thoughtful look on his face. I stared back, wondering what was going on through his mind. He then smiled before taking off his glasses and placing them on me. I was surprised, but instead of seeing him, I saw dark gold and purple magic swirl in front of my eyes through the glass. The vision cleared and I suddenly was back in the demon castle. I looked around feeling stuck in place, but my eyes instantly landed on a demon version of James. He was sitting on the throne of the main hall reading over the book with an intense expression. It was kind of cute to see, but he read in silence.
You'll wear out your eyes if you read too much.
James looked up from his book to see a figure materialize in front of him. It was an older woman with a black cloak and egged horns. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I could see she had power though, and it gave me shivers to look at her.
Sirona, what are you doing here?
I should, yes.
Sirona,
I didn't mean to cut her off.
Shouldn't you be at the Lord gathering with my father?
I should, yes. But I had to stop by and see the Demon Lord's favorite son before I head in.
I am honored. However, I must apologize and return to my reading.
Of course. Wouldn't want to make the Demon Lord angry now, would you?
I could see James's eye twitch a bit at her comment. However, James simply bowed his head and went back to his book in silence. Sirona shook her head and let out a chuckle.
What will you do when you become the Demon Lord? It's such a big responsibility.
James looked up once again, confused at the question. Sirona simply smiled and began to walk away.
Think about that.
James and I watched her walk away, both of us with the same expression and confused expression. I looked back to James to see him press his lips together and stare at the floor. Anyone could tell that he was lost, unsure of how to even answer that to himself. It was strange to see him in a form of weakness, jostled at a simple question that was more than it appeared. James closed his eyes and closed the book on his lap. It was then that I noticed how the tired circles under his eyes. He had been working himself to the bone with his training and reading. When was the last time he slept? I could feel James in the real world gently slide the glasses from my face and place them back on his. It took me a second to recenter my vision, but I then looked to James, who smiled at me.
It was then that I decided to find my brothers. Little did I know that they were wanting me to come on a trip that would make me leave my entire realm to be in a new world.
I stared up at him, surprised, before bringing my hand gently back onto his cheek and running the thumb softly under his eye. He looked healthier and a lot less tired than when I saw him in the vision. Something about that made me happy. James gently leaned into my hand, closing his eyes and relaxing. He then slightly smiled, trying to joke.
So, how does it feel to hold the affections of an ex-demon prince?
I stared, feeling my cheeks glow red in surprise and embarrassment. But I smiled and giggled slightly, running my thumb back and forth along his cheek gently. I have to say I'm flattered to think you ran away from that life. James frowned, making me stop moving my thumb as he stared at me.
I can promise you, that was no life to live.
Aww. But it was your home.
A home is where you can be yourself, not tied to your duty.
James gently ran his hand along my cheek, gingerly outlining the edges of my eye and ear with his thumb.
Home is where all I have to do is care about the ones close to me.
Aww. James. James smiled and gently leaned in, kissing my forehead. I felt a small shiver run down my spine from the kiss, noticing that he sneakily took some energy from me in that little kiss.
You need to rest. You're not fully recovered. You might as well rest until dinner is ready.
Oh. I didn't mean to do that. James smiled and gently pressed me back down onto the bed, leaning his forehead on mine. Steal a kiss. Out of playful fun, I lifted my head and gently kissed James, softly laying a hand on his cheek to keep his face close to me. James stared in surprise before kissing me back, caressing my cheek, slightly melting at the touch of our lips. A soft sigh escaped his lips before he slowly pulled away with a smile. He gently licked his lips, making me go red in the face. At the simple gesture, he let out a satisfied hum before nuzzling my forehead.
Rest.
Oh God, James, I love you. And with that, he stood up and left the room, leaving me to rest as per his request. I smiled to myself before relaxing into the mattress. Oh, fuck you, Diana. Kidding me? I suddenly tensed up. I felt majorly uneasy. Something wasn't right. I felt it in my core. She must be here. The thought of her in the house infuriated me beyond belief. I had to make sure she was not here. I rolled out of bed and quickly left my room, wandering the halls and listening closely. She was a demon, but I was listening very intently. There was no way she would have been able to sneak up on me. I know you're here. Where are you? I could feel myself growl. It wasn't a matter of fear that she'd take away the boys anymore. Her very existence had lit a fire of rage within my gut, which only grew as each day went by. This feud was getting on my nerves, and I knew it would not end well for one of us. I wasn't going to lose to that demon bitch.
Diana, what are you doing here?
My heart stopped. Diana was with James. My mind flew into slow motion, playing fake images of Diana trying to seduce James in my head to further fan the angry flame inside of me. I instinctively followed James's voice and approached the study. The door was open, just a crack wide enough to peek in without being noticed. I peeked inside to see James by the bookshelf with Diana in one of the armchairs looking to him.
Silly man, why do you think I'm here?
To be fairly honest, I don't really care.
I'm hurt, wounded, truly. You don't care that I came to this pathetic little world just for you?
I'm sorry, let me make this clear. You are not welcome here, so I suggest leaving.
Is that any way to speak to your fiancé?
Diana wasn't his fiancée anymore. Why was she speaking as if the arrangement was still going on?
Our arrangement was broken when I left the Abyssal Plains. You are no longer my fiancée.
What a stubborn man, just like your father. Well, you should know, he decreed that should you return home, you'll maintain your status and keep your birthright.
Oh boy, James would be the heir again. Why?
I don't want it.
You don't want it? You'd give up the...
I said I don't want my damned birthright. What birth?
It's your reason for your birth. Do you not realize?
I said I don't want my damned birthright. What birthright? It's imprisonment. A life.
You don't want it. You'd give up the...
I keep cutting him off. I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna take my hand from the mouse.
It's imprisonment. A life sentence. Am I not allowed to be selfish for once in my lifetime?
It's your reason for your birth. Do you not realize what you have?
I could feel James's anger emanating from the crack in the door, fighting with Diana's tension. Diana and James were both matched, staring each other down.
I know exactly what I had. That's all behind me. I'm done with that. To hell with my birthright.
To hell with your birthright. You truly think you can decide that? You are the first son of the Demon Lord. You are the heir to the throne, and I am your bride, the next Demon Queen.
Why was Diana so desperate? It irked me to see how desperate she was to get James to return.
Raystrau, you...
Oh shit. All of a sudden, James ran at Diana and pinned her to the floor by her neck. I felt the need to jump in, but I knew James wasn't trying to do anything romantic. He wouldn't. His voice sent shivers down my spine as they continued to speak with his hand to her throat.
And what gives you the right to use my name like that? Only demons of the same blood are permitted to use each other's true names.
When our families arranged our marriage, I was given permission to use your name as mine. That's what you are, James. You are my husband. I am your queen. You are my Raystrau. I am your Izeur.
I could hear James growling in anger like he was ready to bite Diana's hand. Bite Diana's head off like a wolf would a small deer. I felt myself growl quietly to myself as well. However, James pushed himself off the floor and returned to the opposite side of the room, away from the prone Diana.
I do not belong to you. I belong to her.
The human girl? You must be joking. A human like her can't possibly provide you what you need. She is a human. You're a demon.
I felt the urge to storm in and shut her mouth. It would give away my position, but I was growing extremely tired of Diana. Screw it. I decided to be assertive and quickly stepped into the room, throwing the door to the study wide open. Diana and James looked at me in surprise as I glared daggers at Diana. Get out!
Well, well, little human. You're awfully nosy in business that doesn't concern you.
It does concern me.
Does it? I don't think a human would understand the importance of this affair.
You're asking him to leave to be someone he doesn't want to be. That's not gonna happen.
Oh? And what makes you so sure about that?
Love him. Diana stared in shock at my exclamation. Was it not what she expected? I didn't care what she expected. I wasn't going to lose the man I had grown to love.
You love him?
No shit. Yes. Diana's lips twitched, the edge curling onto an amused smirk as she stared at me.
So what? A human's love isn't enough to understand the situation. A demon can never reciprocate human feeling.
To both of our surprises, however, James stopped forward and put an arm around me, pulling me close to his body.
I love her.
Shit. I saw the confidence in Diana had shattered in her eyes as she stared at James at his words. I could see the struggle in her and the blah 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 blah. I could see the struggle in her face to try to find some weakness in James, in me, anything.
A demon love a human. Impossible.
It's only impossible because you don't have the capability to love. This woman has given so much to shelter me and my brothers and has given me her heart to cherish. I'd rather care for this woman for the rest of my days than spend an eternity on the demon throne. Especially if the queen is you.
Diana took a step back, physically feeling the sting of James' words in her chest. She had lost. I could see in her eyes. Diana's eyes grew dull as she glared at me and James. It seemed almost uncharacteristic of her, yet it was something I wasn't surprised to see come from her face.
Very well. Fine. Valet.
Bye. And with that, Diana faded into the ground, into a purple pentagram, crossing her arms and almost looking upset. James and I were then left alone, left with the silence of the room. I finally let out the air I was unconsciously holding in my chest, relaxing from the ordeal. James stepped to me and held me gently, surprising me.
Are you okay?
I nodded in response, unable to speak, so immediately after being surprised, James let out a sigh. Relaxing in the embrace, I gently placed my hands around him, returning the embrace slightly. I could hear James's heartbeat. He held me close in his arms, and I felt safe beyond words.
I wasn't lying, you know.
I know. I looked up at James, wondering what he meant by what he said. James smiled down at me, moving a strand of hair from my face to look down at me.
I love you. I love every single fiber of you. Your mind, your body, your soul. You're quite possibly the most interesting woman I have ever met. You always find your way into my mind. You.
I stared wide-eyed, blushing like a maniac. Was this real? No way! This couldn't be real. Was James confessing to me, confessing his love for me? James gently smiled and caressed my cheek. The warmth of his hand invited me to nuzzle into it, and I closed my eyes. This wasn't a dream. My heart was pounding to the point where I was sure James could hear it. James gently leaned in, closing his eyes. He stopped, however, remaining just a mere inch away from my lips. He wanted me to show my feelings for him. He had left himself open for me to kiss him or leave him empty. The power I had was unbelievable. Kiss him. I loved him and wanted to give him everything he wanted. I gently leaned in, letting my lips finally touch his gingerly. James let out almost a pleasured purr against my lips before wrapping both of his arms around my waist. Pulling me close to him, I removed my arms up around his neck, feeling the kiss between us deepen into a heated height. My chest was pounding, making me feel and see fireworks in my mind. James was everything I desired. He was the man I wanted, demon or not. It was also supernatural to fall in love with someone so quickly. Maybe it was the sense of magic I was thrown into. Maybe it was Cupid playing with my heart. Either way, I found myself melting at the thought of him being with me. Aww. I found myself combing my fingers through James's hair, making the man holding me softly tremble at my touch. He gently nibbled on my lower lip, asking me to deepen the kiss between us even further. I easily teased him before finally opening my mouth slightly for him. His tongue gently danced with mine as one of his hands slid up my back and cradled my head. He gently leaned my body back, making me cling to him as the heat of our kiss rose higher and higher. Gently, though, James slowed the kiss down and pulled away, staring down at me. His eyes burned me burned for me, wanting me to melt and buckle in his arms. I could feel myself melt already. James opened his mouth to speak, but as a very small blush ran along his cheeks, he was reduced to shy silence. I stared as he tried to find the words to say in my eyes. I knew exactly what he wanted. He didn't need energy though, right? Are you?
No, I just...
Aww. I stared wide-eyed, feeling a blush on my cheek grow. He didn't say anything more, but I knew that what words would have followed if he continued. He wanted me. I was stunned. Was I that appealing to him? Was his passion really that deep for me? James gently lifted his head and kissed my forehead, losing the blush and finally being able to speak.
If you don't want to, we don't have to.
Aww. I could feel my mind go numb and purr at the idea. A moment with an incubus, he was a demon of sex, the purest form of lust and desire. My world would rock and I would enjoy every second of it. At the same time, I was indeed inexperienced. Diana wasn't wrong when she claimed me to be innocent. Did I want to give that innocence to him, especially this early? I found myself forgetting the words yes or no. What could I say to him? There we go. I couldn't believe the two words that came out of my mouth. It made the most sense to say yes, to tell him yes. I needed him. I wanted him. Two words must have made something in him finally break. James quickly resumed the kiss with me, to which I eagerly kissed back and pulled him closer to my body. The heat inside my chest was craving his touch, and I needed to deny any space between us. James lowered a hand and brought one of my legs around his waist. As he lowered his other hand to my waist, without breaking the kiss, I gripped onto his shoulders and jumped off my feet, wrapping both my legs around him and making him hold me up. His touch kept raising my need for him higher and higher, bringing my mind to desire that was buried in the back of my mind. James held me close, kissing me deep and making me moan against his lips. I could feel our bodies sink into the ground, noticing a gentle gold glow penetrate through my closed eyelids. Before I could open my eyes, however, I felt our bodies fall into a familiar feeling bed with James landing on top of me. I love that art style. I stared up at James as he pulled his face slowly away from mine. His eyes were almost glowing in the dark room, piercing into my soul, making me shiver in anticipation. He effortlessly removed his gray sweater and red tie, leaving him in his tightly fitted white button up over me. I could practically feel the heat of his skin through the thin fabric. Oh god, I can't speak English. However, as he held me, I could slightly feel the shiver of his hand. He was nervous. Was I his first? He wasn't going to show it. He wanted me to enjoy this moment, but was afraid of screwing up. He was shivering. His shivering hands showed me his emotions perfectly. I gently reached up and brought his head down, kissing him once again. I wanted him not to worry. The pleasure between us would be heavenly and we'd go through it together. I closed my eyes and gave myself to James. I'm just skipping some of this, don't mind me. My throat is actually hurting.
I love you so much.
I love you too. Just to hear those words come from James's mouth, my heart made my heart flutter. To hear me answer made my soul warm in glee. I had love and I had happiness. My life was simply perfect. Alright, let's get to Diana. Because I know she's out there in the balcony. Hey, you.
Before you get all huffy, I didn't come here to take your precious man away. By the way, how was it exactly? Demons are the best lovers, after all.
What do you want, Diana?
Well, I just wanted to see how you truly feel. You know, without him around to influence you.
What are you talking about?
I'm giving you an opportunity to come clean about these feelings of yours and to give you your salvation.
What was Diana up to? This was beyond crazy. Nothing she had done made sense. What's keeping you from just killing me?
You are not worth my time.
Not worth your time? What, are you afraid of something? All at once I felt my body being lifted into the air and moved over the past railings.
Oh, trust me, dear. I'm not afraid to kill you. I can drop you right now and leave your body to rot until the morning, when the boys would find you.
I wanted to speak, but the thought of her letting go and letting me fall to my desk scared my voice into silence, setting me down gently.
Alas, if I kill you, then the boys would never come with me willingly back to the demon world, and then I'd have to chase them all around the world, or kill them and drag them back, but then their father wouldn't be happy, and blah blah blah. Too much work.
Diana seemed very business-oriented, as if the boys were cargo more than men. It irked me, but she then smiled.
I'm giving you one chance to denounce your love for the demon in your bed, and let me take him and the other boys back to the demon world.
And why, may I ask, would I do that?
There are so many reasons why, actually. There's the reason that he's a demon and you're a human, so you two can never truly have a happily ever after. Then there's the reason that demons truly do not know how to love, despite what he may proclaim. The list goes on and on. The point is, if you give me the boys, I will promise you eternal happiness.
Eternal happiness?
That's right. I have the power to give you anything you desire. Power, men, women, money, fame. Name it, and it's yours. A demon never goes back on their word, and I have the power to obtain anything you wish. Our deal is our contract.
I could only stare in shock. This was a dream. It had to be. However, Diana smiled, an almost genuine smile at me.
Don't you wish to be free of your destiny? Your father constantly berating you to become the next CEO of your grandfather's company.
How did you?
Just because I play with hearts and sex doesn't mean I don't know my way around the human mind. You happen to be an open book of information, but I digress. I can give you your freedom with ease. It'll be like you were always meant to have it. All I ask is that you hand over the boys. What do you say?
Alright, let me save this. And I'll see what that is after. She must have been crazier than I thought I would. I glared. Absolutely not.
Well, if I can't return home with the boys, I might as well return home with the power to fight back.
Okay. Finally leaned in and kissed me. I shut my eyes, feeling the need to bite her lips, but finding no muscles in my face. Okay. I didn't want to enjoy it, but every single nerve in my body was flaring in excitement and pleasure as she kissed me. Was she using her magic to force energy out of me?
May you never regret your choice, human. If you do, I'll happily come and take it away.
With a flick of her hair, Diana turned and walked away. I watched her fade away before looking back at the man in my bed. My heart gave a gentle thump, giving me my answer. I did, and I will never regret it as long as I live. I was happy. And then we know the ending would be that James becomes the CEO of the grandfather's company, and the boys go off and do their own thing. Yeah, they leave their own accord. They knew that my future would only need James. Besides, James had someone to care for now. His brothers didn't need him now that he was caring for me. They made me promise, however, that I would love James for as long as we lived. But what of my future? Shit. And her father had no choice but to choose James as the CEO of Anderson Toys Company. That being said, I was still scared where the future was going to take me. Did I want to help James, or did I want to venture off on my own? I think she just goes to venture off on her own. I would. I was happy, and nothing can shake me down from that happiness.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. I was just remembering how we met and such.
Were you now?
Yeah, and I wouldn't change anything.
Come, I have a surprise for you.
I raised an eyebrow, surprised with what the heck was he plotting?
I promise you'll love it.
Alright. Aw, he's such a sweetheart. I love him. James, what's going on? James, I feel sort of undressed, you know.
There's nothing wrong with how you look now. You're beautiful no matter what clothes you are in.
Aww. James?
Remember what that is?
Of course, that, sir, is a shrimp pesto dish. You made it when we first met, when you and your brothers were apologizing for getting blood in the lobby.
Well, it was more than that we had to apologize for, but that was the gist of it, yes.
How could I forget? What's this all about?
You are such a wonderful woman. I can't believe that I can love someone this much. You have changed my whole world, and now you have become my everything. I practically get scared waking up every morning in case this is all just a blissful dream.
James?
I love you, and I will never stop loving you. No matter what comes our way, I promise to be there for you as long as time keeps moving. I want to be yours forever.
He's proposing. Damn it. Aww.
Will you, Miss Anderson, marry me?
I was speechless. I felt myself break and start to weep in joy. Aww. Oh, James. Yes, I will. I love James. Alright, so we did James's route. I will actually look at the other ending to see what happens if I say yes to Diana in my next stream with playing this game. I'm still taking a break from the Yakuza series and gonna continue playing the Seduce Me games. I'm going to see who I can raid, and I will see you guys in my next stream. Bye!